Yeah. Can everybody hear us out there? It doesn't sound like anything is...
Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. I don't need a mic.
Where's our IT? Yeah.
Sound check. They seem busy down there.
Pardon me?
They look like they're doing something.
They're plugging things in.
See, you started too soon
Why?
because you're not ready with the sound.
Oh. Why don't we say you can continue your discussions until
Yeah.
the mic, there you go, the mic's on.
There we go. Okay.
There we are.
All right, I'm going to call the special meeting of the Ojai City Council for Tuesday, December the 13th, 2016 to order. Thank you all for being here. This is an exciting night. We have the opportunity to welcoming a past mayor and the newly elected mayor to our council. And unfortunately, but as things move on, we have to say goodbye to two past mayors from the council. So thank you all for being here. I'm sure that all of the participants appreciate you being here. Could we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Mayor Blatz.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Wyrick.
Here.
Councilmember Clapp.
Present.
Councilmember Lara.
Here.
Councilmember Haney.
Here.
And if I could ask Councilwoman Clapp to lead us in the pledge.
Follow me, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, there's a few housekeeping items that we're going to be taking care of tonight, including the certification of the election and the swearing in of the officers. And then we're going to take a brief, probably 15 or 20-minute intermission where we can mingle, and I believe there's cake or something back there that we can all enjoy. So the first order of business is to certify the results of the November 8, 2016 election and install the new elected officials. Mr. McClary?
I don't have.
No. Try this one.
Shauna has it.
Check, check.
There you go.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We are simply asking the council to certify the results of the election. Staff would be available to answer any questions. We do have we did receive the certified results from the county clerk, and we have no questions or concerns with those.
Okay,
So
thank
the
you.
council can adopt that resolution at any time and certify the results of the election.
All right, I'll bring it back to council for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Mayor Blatz.
Yes?
Mayor Pro Tem Wyrick.
Yes.
Councilmember Clapp.
yes.
Councilmember Lara.
Yes.
Councilmember Haney.
Yes.
All right, well, everything's official now. The first person that we're going to call forward to take the oath of office is our city clerk. Yes.
I have something I'd like to say. Should I say it before or after this?
Well, I'll tell you, I think that if we get everybody sworn in, then there's going to be a time for us to present you with some plaques, and then you'd be welcome to say it then right before we take our break.
Okay.
Okay? All right, the first officer that we're going to swear in is Cynthia Burrell, our city clerk. She's the first one to take the oath because then she has to administer the oath to everybody else.
Makes sense, huh?
So our city manager, Steve McClary, is going to administer the oath to Ms. Burrell.
I need to be legal.
Here you are, Cynthia. If you could please raise your right hand and state the oath of office.
I, Cynthia Burrell, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, and that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Here is your certificate of election. Congratulations on your election.
Thank you.
All right.
I counted up on the way here tonight, and I think that is the 11th time I've been sworn in as city clerk at the city of Ojai. So, anyway, I would like to take the opportunity now to swear in John F. Johnston as mayor. If you will raise your right hand,
My right hand, okay.
or you can raise your left, I don't care.
Okay, you want me to read this?
Yes, please.
Okay, we'll see if I can.
Would you like me to read it?
I, John F. Johnston, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, and that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and then I will and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
You are duly sworn. Congratulations, sir. And here is yours. Would you like to say something?
And I might say that, well, Ojai is known as the land of Shangri-La, the land of eternal life.
Here we
Cynthia
are.
and I are here as evidence.
But, Mr. Mayor, I think we look good. at least, that's right. At least we're standing up. Now I'd like to have Sousa Francina. Congratulations. Oh, Susan are back again, too. If you'll raise your right hand.
I might not be able to read this.
Do you want me to do it?
I can't read it.
Okay. We'll raise your,
Wear my glasses when you're taking my picture.
raise your right hand. Sousa Francina, do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you are about to enter? Please say, I do.
I do.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
I do have some reservations.
This is kind of ridiculous, isn't it? Because now, Alan Raines, would you come forward, please?
Another
Congratulations, Alan. Would you like to read your oath?
read it.
Okay. Will you raise your right hand? Do you, Alan Raines, solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you are about to enter? If so, say I do.
I sure do.
Okay. Congratulations. And you're upright too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor Black.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to everybody. I'm looking forward to working with the two new members of our board and our newly elected mayor particularly. Now is the sad part of the agenda, and this is where we have to say goodbye to two of our own, and we've got two that have been extremely hardworking, dedicated public servants to the city of Ojai. The first is Savara Lara. Now, Savara has been on the city council since 2012. So this is the end of his first term, but he served 4 years, and he was mayor from 2014 to 2015. So we're going to miss you, Savaro, and the plaque that we're going to be giving you is the City of Ojai tile, and it says, Savara Lara, thank you for your dedication, outstanding leadership, and significant impact on the welfare of this city during your service on the Ojai City Council. And I, along with the rest of the city council members, would like to thank you for everything you've done during your mayorship and while you've been on the council. And Savaro, you're welcome to say a few words if you would like.
Try not to be long, but definitely want to appreciate everybody and congratulate again our first elected mayor, Mayor Johnston, and then also our council member, Francine. I also wanted to thank my supporters, the ones that supported me the first time to get me on the city council, and also for the supporters that encouraged me to run for mayor. It's interesting to me that looking back 6 years ago, my friends and I were sitting around the table, which we usually do, and my friends and I all grew up here in Ojai. I even think that we had our diapers changed together at one point. So that's how close we are. There's about 8 of us. And we were sitting around the table, but 6 years ago, this was very interesting because this is the first time that we all started talking about politics, which we, in our wildest dreams, thought we would never be talking about politics because we grew up in Ojai in different demographics, and all we were thinking about was working, getting out of school and working. And 6 years ago, then we decided somehow, I think I volunteered, or I might have been volunteered to run for city council. So I did 2 years of studying, learning what the issues were, and I was honored and humbled to be elected on this council to a city that I truly love. And during my 4 years as an elected official, I have learned to respect my colleagues and work with them because they are a hard-working group. And I also want to thank the staff because we have a small staff and we do a lot for this size of departments that we have. And I know it's easy to criticize, but I've learned to respect them, and I learned to see the value that they really give to this city. And so I want to thank them, and I want to thank our city manager, Mr. McCleary, and our city attorney, Mr. Summers, for that. But I also want to thank all our commissions and boards. Our Building Appeals Board that was formed not too long ago to make sure that we do implement city codes that are adequate to Ojai, and also our Arts Commission, who works tirelessly to promote art in the whole valley. And also our HPC, our Historic Preservation Commission, who remind us how rich our history is and how much it's worth it to preserve it. And I also want to thank our planning commissioners because they work extremely hard to look at the character of Ojai, and they're basically our second hand to this council. So I really appreciate their volunteer hours. And the last one that I want to thank is the Park and Recreation Commission. It's a really dear commission to my heart because I was on it 1 year, and I got on it when it was a pretty shaky situation, and I learned from that commission what it takes to turn around the department with the leadership of Councilmember Haney, who then was our chair. So, and I thank that commission because it has not been happy just being content. It actually goes way and beyond, and to this day works to improve that department. So I'm really happy about that commission. And I look forward. I'm going to miss being on the council because it is extremely important. It's really where everything, all the elected officials are really held responsible, and where a lot of good work is done. I also want to thank, obviously, my friends, but I also look forward to participating in other boards and be involved in other ways, because this is about a community. This is about working together. That's what I've always stressed. That's how I grew up, and I couldn't thank more than anything my parents, the ones that really instilled the core value of respect, of working hard at family, at community, and most importantly, about love and making those tough decisions. I can't express how much I love my dad and how much I love my mom, who is just staring down from heaven right now. So I really do appreciate everybody, and I look forward to working with the current council and wishing them the best success and helping any way possible to make their term very valuable. So I thank everybody for that.
The next council member that's going to be leaving us tonight is Betsy Clapp, and she's the senior most on this council. She was elected in 2008, and has served since that time on the city council. She was mayor 2011 and 2012. As I said, she's the most senior one. She was on the council when I first got on the council, and she's been a true champion of groups and special interests in town, and she's going to be sorely missed on the council. And again, I have a city tile for her, and it also says, "Thank you for your dedication, outstanding leadership, and significant impact on the welfare of this city during your service on the Ojai City Council." Once again, City Council 2008 to 2016, and Mayor 2011-2012. Betsy, it's absolutely my pleasure to present you with this.
Thank you.
And now you have a few words.
Oh, my word. Well, first of all, it's bittersweet to leave. I'm humbled. I've been humbled by this whole experience. It's been one of the most challenging and difficult experiences of my life. It's tested my character. It's shown me my flaws, and it's shown me my strengths. I've taken 2 months to write this statement. It's somewhat philosophical, sometimes hard-hitting, but it comes from my heart. It's been truly an honor to serve my community, and I want to thank everyone in Ojai for this opportunity, including my colleagues, to whom I often disrespectfully agreed, sometimes agreed. It was not always calm up here, sometimes contentious, but that's politics. First of all, I want to thank staff for all of your hard work. It's been a tumultuous time. You've been this object of attacks. You have been micromanaged. You have been yelled at. You've even been threatened. You work hard every day to run this city, and you deserve better. I'm confident that Souza and Johnny's fresh presence on council will result in a more respectful and productive environment. I want to welcome Souza, an unrelenting advocate for the conservation of Ojai and our natural environment. And Johnny, a wise and gifted statesman who brings with him a deep love of our town. I wish you the best. This is a sometimes thankless job, and the personal sacrifice you are making is hugely appreciated by me and many Ojai residents. To continue, I offer a quote from Edward Snowden. Quote, "You don't just inherit the past and expect it to continue." This statement seems especially apropos as we look to Ojai's future. We are being overwhelmed by our own charm. Tourism has taken the front seat, and residents are now relegated to the back of the bus. We are facing the possible loss of our beloved and historic Chaparral School to major development, and our sorely missed community gathering spot, the bowling alley, to a water-guzzling brewery. And I'm certain other yet unidentified development proposals will follow, as they always seem to. Past civic leaders and activists, Pat Weinberger, who passed away just, I think, today or yesterday, and Jim Lobel worked countless hours to protect Ojai. The tireless efforts of these and other visionaries were a huge gift to this community. And frankly, the reason we are able to live in such a beautiful and refreshingly different town. People like John and Kathy Brazenly have carried this long-standing tradition of preservation forward. They have invested countless hours and fought huge battles to preserve Ojai for future generations, motivated solely by their love of this valley. Thank you, John, and thank you, Kathy. As witnessed in the recent battle at the county level to continue open land protection via SOAR, these battles never seem to cease. And it is clear as a community, we have a very important question to answer. Are we going to slowly but surely allow our town to become like any other Southern California town? Or turned into an overcrowded, swinging hot spot with no soul? Are we going to stand firm as a community in our pledge to protect our small town character? A promise made for decades by all candidates for city council, myself included. Are we going to allow ourselves to be intimidated into the slow degradation of Ojai through unreasonable mandates by the state? Overdevelopment, Airbnb, and other avaricious pressures? I know this is not the vision I have for Ojai, and I hope it is not the vision of our current elected officials, City Council, and the school board alike. I moved here over 25 years ago because Ojai was so much like Upland, the town where I was raised. Upland was once like Ojai, small, close-knit, and beautiful. Today it is huge, it's ugly as hell, and embarrassingly similar to many other Southern California cities. I watched it destroyed as a child, and it broke my heart, and I hope that doesn't happen to Ojai. Again, to quote Edward Snowden, I recently saw an interview with him after the election of President Trump, and it was quite fascinating, and he's an extremely intelligent man. I encourage everyone to watch the interview. He said, "What you do today creates tomorrow." Are we going to have the courage to stand up to overdevelopment and the wisdom to create policy that protects our town? Are we going to honor and respect the hard work of Ojai's visionaries who were dedicated to the protection of this beautiful valley? All of the aforementioned individuals are either gone or at least well beyond the halfway point of their lives. No one is guaranteed immortality. So, as a plea, one last time from this dais, where I've had the honor to speak for the last 8 years, please, Councilmembers Haney, Wyrick, Blatz, Francina, and Mayor Johnston, ponder possible consequences seriously before making decisions that could unravel the hard work and dedication of our prior visionary civic leaders. Recognize that the town we all love so dearly did not remain so quaint by accident. Our town remains small and livable as a result of the hard work done by our predecessors for us, not for their personal gain. In closing, I ask the next generation to step forward. It is time to become active in your local government. Strive to protect this valley for your children and for everyone that follows us to Shangri-La. Future generations should be able to enjoy the same legacy that has been so graciously handed to you. So please, please, when it matters, you must speak up at city council meetings. You must speak up at board meetings and before any decision-making bodies. And join and participate in local organizations dedicated to the preservation of this town. Because I guarantee you, if you don't, someone else will, and you may not like what they do. So thank you once again. It's been a pleasure to serve. It's been humbling. I will miss being up here, but I also have somewhat of a sense of relief. And I know my husband is so glad. So thank you, everyone.
Steve Bennett wants to say something, and then I'm going to call on you. Okay, I'll call you up. Yeah, okay, that's fine. All right, if everybody, we have a couple more things on the agenda before we take our intermission. The first one is that we have our county supervisor, Steve Bennett, here this evening that would like to address us. So, Steve, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you, and to Betsy and Severo, I just was happy that our long board meeting that went from 8:30 this morning till about 5 got done at 5 so that I could get here in time. But I just want to say one thing on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, how much I've admired both of you and the service that you've brought forward for the citizens of the Ojai Valley. And the one thing that I think you have very different styles, but I would offer the genuineness of your caring for Ojai is so similar and so matched and so strong. And that is the unique thing about Ojai, is that two people with different styles can share that passion for this special place that's here. So thank you very much on behalf of the Board of Supervisors for your service to the residents of Ojai.
Thank you, Steve. I now would like to ask Mayor Johnston to come up. I would like to have him say some words about Pat Weinberger and then introduce some people that are here. I just want to say that at the last city council meeting, I presented to Pat Weinberger the 2016 Historic Preservation Award. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here. So after that meeting, thanks to Mayor Johnston, we were able to arrange for me to go to the nursing home where she was, and we presented it to her there. And it was last Thursday. I hadn't seen Pat in a couple of years, and She was as animated and as alert and as much Pat Weinberger could be Pat Weinberger that day as you can imagine. And it was a delight. And she was thrilled to get that award, and she wanted to make sure that I thanked everyone on the Historic Preservation Commission and all the citizens of Ojai for that award. And John was there, and I'd like him to come up and make some remarks. He was a true friend and longtime close friend of Pat's. And then I believe he has some other people in the audience that he'd like to announce, and then we'll have our break. So come on up, Mayor Johnson, wherever you'd like, if you'd like to do it from here.
Does this work? Okay.
Yep.
I want to introduce a good friend, Mike Tracy, his wife Linda. Former mayor of Ventura, member of the city council, former chief of police down there. And Mike, I hold you partially responsible for me being up here as was it in The Godfather, where he said, just as I was getting out, they pulled me back in. Well, I'd been out for a while, right? Oh, yeah, I've been gone. And let's see, and Steve has been introduced. I don't know okay, before I make some comments about Pat, I want to thank my life partner, my spouse, Kitty Johnston, who, without her, I certainly wouldn't be here. And it's not because she gave me permission. She rolled up her sleeves and sort of bailed us all out when this thing was just a floundering bunch of, well, I shouldn't say floundering volunteers, but we were a bit uncoordinated, and she saved the day. Thank you for what you've done. And I do see someone back there. He's wearing his Stetson tonight, but is that Russ Baggerly, our representative down at Casitas? That's going to be a very important part of our world here. Well, it already is. It's just shrinking, and we got to work with them and coordinate. For those of you who wondered where all the signs came from all over town, I want to thank my grandsons who worked in the shop. And we got them down as fast as we got them up, so thank you, boys. Okay, there are a lot of other people to thank, but I won't do it at this point, because the thing that got me into this is that I said that I wanted to encourage civil public debate that was conducted in a welcoming way and in an effective way, which is by not going too long. So, with that, let me just say in memory of a very special person, Patricia Alice Weinberger. Most of you here probably have at least heard of her, although many of you probably never met her. But this was a sort of a force of nature that she and Larry Weinberger, who was another force of nature, he was a world-renowned pioneer in neurosurgery, and he got his experience in Italy during World War II. And between the two of them, when they hit the Ojai Valley back in the 1960s, that really was a kind of a watershed event. That they were bright, they were fearless. Pat was viewed as a traitor to her class, like Roosevelt. She grew up as in a conservative Republican family in Akron, Ohio, and played with the Firestone children. In fact, Brooks Firestone up in Santa Barbara was the son of one of Pat's playmates. That Pat ended up being quite a liberal and a shock to her family, as well as the Junior Women's League that she belonged to. She came out here and immediately dove into what she believed made Ojai so charming. She said the way she found Ojai, you hear a lot of stories. She said she and Larry were vacationing in I think it was Antigua, although there's some dispute as to whether I remember better than Brett Bradigan. But he said he heard something else. They were on a blanket on the beach, and they introduced themselves to these people who were next to them, and the people said that they were from Ojai, and they said, "Oh, we're from Ohio too." Not an uncommon mistake. Whereupon, when they said, no, we're from Ojai, it's this little valley in California, Larry and Pat went back, got an Airstream trailer, and they took their next vacation, came out here, bought the property in Del Oro, and built their home, and they'd been here for about 50 years. This was somebody who would stand up to anybody. And when Larry passed away back in '89, he asked Gene Harvey and me and others, take care of Pat. He says, with her temper, she is going to drive all her friends away. And those of you who knew Pat, I mean, she would get over it, but I think for 3 years, I don't think she and I spoke until I ran into Larry one day, and he said, we never see you anymore. I said, well, Pat doesn't talk to me. He says, really? And then next thing you know, Pat was on the phone, says, what made you think I wasn't speaking to you? I said, well, that letter you sent me, which I still have. So anyhow, that was how our friendship started out professionally and ended up being a close relationship. Pat married 3 husbands, one in World War II, one after the polio epidemic, and he was a survivor. He ended up in a hotel fire. And then Larry. Now, think of this woman, Pat passed on yesterday at 90, almost 94. She buried 3 husbands and both her children. And her children and her last husband, all from cancer, and she was totally dedicated to trying to prevent environmental causes of what she believed, maybe hurt them as well as many of our other citizens. And so here's a woman who went through all that, kept up her spirits, and took on everybody, including the Gypsum Company, by buying their stock and then going to their stockholders meeting and talking against their project in the Ojai Valley. So she was, those of us who knew her, she was great, and God rest her soul.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, we're going to take a 15 or 20-minute intermission now so we can mingle. You can talk to the new members, the current members, the outgoing members. We've got, I believe, some cake in the back and some refreshments, so enjoy yourselves.
Can we please take our seat?
Where's my agenda?
You're on. You're in charge? No, it was red light, green light.
Oh, good, thank you. We'll call the meeting back to order. And I don't, was there a revised agenda that, in hard copy that I haven't received yet?
Yeah, you're welcome to use mine if you'd like.
Yeah, okay.
We're on presentation.
Right, okay. Okay, we're on presentations. We have council members. Should we go around the table, starting with Mayor Blatz? You're still the mayor.
Well, thank you, John.
Once a mayor, always a
Yeah,
mayor,
that's
right,
true.
guys? Yeah.
I don't have any specific report other than to say that we're going to be discussing a very important topic tonight, and that is the alternative plan by the OBGMA. And we are having a special meeting of the OBGMA at 5 o'clock this Friday to vote on whether or not the alternate plan is going to be sent to the state, and it'd be important for anybody that's interested in voicing an opinion on that to be at Wild Tennis Academy at 5 o'clock this coming Friday.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Councilman Wyrick.
A couple things just wanted to mention about water situation. I'm going to be very short about it tonight. And that is that there's a little bit of good news. Mr. Bagley knows more about this than I do, but I understand that the lake volume only went down by 1,362 acre-feet in November of 2016, which is the smallest decrease since November of 2012. So we will grab onto whatever slim rays of hope we can find. I just wanted to mention that I did attend the desalinization presentation that Supervisor Bennett put on. The Board of Supervisors chambers were pretty full. There were some very interesting people there talking about water and desalinization in particular. And it just drove home to me that one of the issues that we're facing in the Ojai Valley is that we don't have any backup. And that we continue to need to find a way to aggressively conserve while diversifying our water sources, and I think the debate is the best way to do that. We have to debate the best way to do that. Winding up real quickly, I want to relate the Santa Barbara experience, which was related there by one of the Santa Barbara executives for management of water, and I went up to him and I said, you know, I tell people, and I want you to tell me if I'm inaccurate, by saying that if you didn't have a pipe connection to the State Water Project where you could buy non-state water, Santa Barbara would probably have died in 2013 and 14. He said, you're absolutely right. They received, since 2014, 26,000 acre-feet of non-state water because they could wheel it through a pipe connection, because they had backup, at an average price of about $446 per acre-feet. The point being is that we need to find a way to diversify and get some backup, and we need to learn from similar success stories in other parts of the state. Just thought I'd add that to the discussion mix. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. Randy.
So just to add to a couple Bill's information, Councilman Wyrick's information, is he said that the lake surface was 1,384 acres. And when it's full, it's 2,700 acres. The lake storage as of today was at 89,398 acre feet, which is at 35%. I too attended the desalinization meeting, and I thought it was an excellent meeting. I walked away with two things. I was looking for a short-term fix, and there is not one with desalinization. So the short term might be 15 years, and the long term might be 20 years. So it's a good thought. It's a nice time to start thinking that way, but the reality is we're 20 years away. When William was talking about reliable water, we in the Ventura County, and I keep stressing this, and I hope Mr. Supervisor Bennett is here. The reality is we have a countywide water issue. Ojai's got its own problems, but we have a countywide issue. And part of the learning curve is going to a lot of countywide meetings and trying to grasp all of the relative information, and then how to take some of that and bring it back to us and how we could utilize it, and then try to see how these other entities are dealing with it themselves. And I walked away with this strange feeling the other day that if we don't treat this as a county-wide problem, what we're going to have is every individual city or entity within the county solving this problem themselves. And what we have is we'll have no continuity. And what we'll have is a lot of people taking care of themselves and not taking care of us as a whole. And that to me, I can even take that to this valley. If we don't figure out how to get OBGMA and Casitas Municipal Water District in direct communications, along with people from this council, along with a lot of the smart people in this community, coming together and looking at how we can solve this problem, what we're going to end up doing is Casitas is going to solve their problem themselves. OBGMA is going to try and figure out their own. The city's going to look at how we can take care of ours. The inn's going to look at how do they take care of themselves. So you can see this is a multifaceted problem that it's going to take this whole community to come together. And I've said this for the longest time. We need a champion. We're going to need a champion at the supervisory level. We're going to need a champion at the congressional level. And we're going to need champions in this community to stand up and rise and be prepared to lead. So that's my fear, is that if we just keep pushing this ball down the road and we don't push it together, that all we're going to end up doing is solving our own little problems ourselves that might have a positive result, but more likely will have a negative result countywide as well as citywide. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman Haney. Councilwoman Francina?
On water, mainly what my thought is that everything I hear, first of all, the more I learn about water, the less I realize I know, because it's a huge, vast subject, not only countywide, but statewide. Nationally, internationally, but everything points to me to the idea that was floated maybe a few months ago about needing a water czar, some head person that is taking all of this information and seeing how to make it so that everything can be connected and coherent.
Thank you. I'd like to commend the council. I've been attending water meetings, sometimes 3 a day for the last 4 weeks. Many of the people in the audience I've seen at those meetings, plus many of the council people up here who have been attending. And I think we are in the stage of being educated as to how much we need each other and that each of us has a role to play. I met yesterday with the City of Ventura Water Department, and Shannon Epstein said that she says it jokingly, but it's true, and I'll share that with you. She said we need to get a project in place for the longer term before it rains. And everybody said, yeah, what's funny about that and why are you saying it? And she says, well, clearly, and I've said this to some of you privately, the old Rosemary Clooney song many years ago called Mañana, the lyrics I think are great, and if you just turn them on their head, they apply to what we're faced with. The window she is broken, the rain is coming in. If someone doesn't fix it, we'll be soaking to our skin. But if we wait a day or two, the rain she goes away, and who will need a window on such a sunny day? Our problem is the reverse. Twice we've seen droughts, really bad droughts, since I've lived in the valley, and every time if it's a March miracle or whatever, everybody then goes back and says, hey, it was all a fraud, like our national administration claims that it's a fraud. If we don't deal with it, let's hope it is a fraud and that and help is on the way. But I think we've got a pretty good handle on what the choices are, and we know who the partners are, and I guess the question now for our community and the other jurisdictions, because we have Miners Oaks, we have the Ventura River Water Company, the important ones are the big ones that have regional responsibility or wider area responsibility, is the ground management group that are going to be speaking this evening, and Lake Casitas. But as someone observed, let's see, if we get a bigger agency, with somebody who is a water czar, what if they don't do any more than what we've already got? We just have another layer of government, which is, I guess, possible. But I don't think we should look for that as a desirable outcome. But if we don't get along and start solving this, it'll be imposed on us. And unfortunately, it'll be imposed because we will have reached crises. I am optimistic that that won't happen, but okay, so we have covered the council reports. We are now at public communication. I have about 8 or 9 cards here, some to deal with the water issue, the groundwater management alternative sustainable report. Russ, is that what I should call it? Or something to that effect. It's not a plan, it's a report, but it has effects on our plan. I have some cards here that say they want to speak under public comment, but I also have some cards who want to speak on the consent calendar item. I think what we need to do before we do public comments is establish what our agenda is going to be for tonight and accept it, and then people will know whether they need to speak under public communication or wait for their item to come up. So I've had one request for a change in our agenda, and that is to remove under the consent calendar the completed streets report and take that under discussion. Are there any other requests for change?
Yes, Mayor Johnson, I'd like to also pull item 1E from the consent calendar for a short comment.
Okay.
So I concur with 1D and ask that 1E also be removed.
Okay, we have 1D and 1E on the consent calendar, and okay. And after talking with the city manager this afternoon, I am recommending that we not hold the closed session tonight on that property exchange. There's no urgency to it, and I think we can reschedule in January. So if everyone is good with those 3 changes.
I think that's an important issue. I do not concur, but I go with the majority on that.
Okay. Okay, we've got D, E, and the closed session to be taken in a different order. And if we pull D and E, I suggest we take them up as items 8 and 9, so that we go right to our current discussion items, and one is the nomination of a mayor. So if those changes are acceptable to the council, is there anyone else besides Mayor Pro Tem Wyrick who objects to suspending with the closed session? If not, okay, the agenda is approved. So we are going to take the complete streets up separately. So those who want to speak on that subject, is that okay that you'll just take it when it's made a discussion item? I think there are 2 hands out there.
If I can actually speak during public comment section, I'll prefer that.
You would? Okay, then we'll go ahead with that. Public comment, is that Andy? You want to come up?
Did we move to approve the agenda as it was?
I said no, agree with the changes.
Right.
Well, my name's Andy Cantwell. I live at 214 Valley Rio. Mayor and council members, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. Speaking in support of item 4D, or I suppose now item 8, as both a employee for the school district, I'm the assistant superintendent for Ojai Unified, as well as a resident near Nordhoff High School. I personally have experienced a number of close calls as I cross Maricopa Highway near the high school. Prior to coming to Ojai Unified, I worked for the Santa Barbara County Education Office, where I worked with all 20 school districts in the Santa Barbara County. I was a bit discouraged when I came to Ojai Unified to see just how few of our students travel to school via biking or walking. I'm certain that that's a direct relationship or cause of the unsafe path that students have to travel to school. So I appreciate the council taking up this topic. I am strongly in support for us making our streets safer for student travel, again, via bicycle and walking. And so I, again, am grateful that you're taking up the topic and request that you do pass this portion of the consent agenda. Thank you.
And thank you. We have Deborah Pendry. Is that the right pronunciation?
Thank you, Mayor Johnston. Deborah Pendry, representing the Ojai Valley Green Coalition. And talk about longevity. It's time to remind the community about our 9th annual e-waste recycling event in January. We do it the second Saturday of January every year thus far. Again, for the 9th year coming up. So that will be Saturday, January 14th at the Ojai Community Bank from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We'll be there accepting e-waste, and e-waste is CPUs, monitors, printers, TVs, accessories. Also, small appliances are considered e-waste, so if it has a cord and you can fit it on your counter, then you can bring it. So that's a lamp, a vacuum cleaner, that works, washing machine, no. We'll also be taking ink cartridges, laser cartridges, all the little handheld iPods, cell phones. You can also bring your old media storage, so CDs, DVDs, floppy disks, cassette tapes, VHS. We still see those coming through. So we're taking all of that. We're also taking old incandescent holiday lights. We have a place that we can recycle those for folks that are getting into the LED lights. You don't need to throw those in the trash. And household batteries, we usually collect about 1,000 pounds of those. So a reminder that that happens. We know you're going to buy new stuff coming up here real soon, and it's illegal to put universal waste in the trash can, and that is batteries, hazardous, household hazardous waste, e-waste, anything like that. It's illegal. So please dispose of that properly. And while I still have 3 minutes. Woohoo! Okay.
You don't have to take it. Yeah, we appreciate it when we don't.
But I do just want to take a moment to recognize Severo Lara. He was our liaison to the Ojai Valley Green Coalition the full 4 years that he was there. I can count on one hand the meetings that he missed. And he brought a lot of care to our board meetings and insights. We really appreciated him on this as the city liaison, and that the city opts to have the Green Coalition on your list of what council members, the different organizations that they'll be part of. So greatly appreciated. Same with Betsy Clapp, great supporter. She's here for the environment. There's no doubt about that. And for those of us who live in the environment. So greatly appreciated. And for Betsy, one of my favorite quotes, Professor David Orr, hope is a verb with its sleeves rolled up. And then for Mayor Johnston, your comments about Pat Weinberg was great. I just want to share with people, it's pretty buried somewhere in the internet, and it's very dated, but Alistair Coyne, another environmentalist activist in our community, wrote an awesome piece called A Brief History of the Ojai Valley. And he talks about Pat and so many people. He goes back to the 50s. It's very, very informative about where we've come, our roots in activism and advocacy. So thank you. And I'll be back in January to remind you, but start keeping your stuff Saturday, January 14th. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Shapiro.
Good evening, City Council, Honorable Mayor, Honorable Council people, City Attorney, City Manager, staff, thank you. Michael Shapiro, Ojai, California. First of Mr. Cantwell was great, almost a lead-in for me. When I learned about the Complete Streets program and the funding that you guys and women were getting, It was music to my ears because it's clearly something that's needed. I've heard anecdotally from parents of kids the day of a close call as a kid was crossing the street, bicycling through. And this leads me to the next piece of information. I just really wanted to update you, inform you that the Marshler Ojai Quarry has submitted a request to be granted a 30-year extension of their CUP. Mr. Mosler himself, of course, is in his early 70s, like myself, so we know that this 30-year extension will go way beyond his ownership of the property, and we have no idea who the steward will be, the new owner, some years from now. But one of the stipulations that the county won't budge on is to changing the hours of when 20 trucks a day, which is 40 trips round trip, 20 trips going up, 20 trips coming down, may arrive at the quarry in the morning. They're insisting at 7 a.m. That means it's very possible that many double hopper gravel trucks hauling that gravel coming up or going down will be competing with newly arriving, inexperienced, newly licensed drivers, parents and their carpools, kids walking to school, faculty driving to school, and certainly children on their bicycles. So we think from a position of health, welfare, and safety, it should be a no-brainer that trucks be allowed to arrive at the quarry at 8 after the children are safely in their seats when the bell rings at 7:45. That's all. This is really simple. Mr. Mosler otherwise has done a great job complying with Channel Keeper's request to help preserve the steelhead trout nesting grounds right below the quarry. He's done a great job. This is the only thing we're now asking the county and Mr. Mosler. They refuse, so we're going to be appealing that decision by Brian Baca, not allowing that change from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And I just want to let you know that we have Bill Wyrick has been incredible, taking a great leadership position on this, helping me in a great way and being part of The Voice. He attended the MAC meeting about this. I've now gotten Hank Bankser, Superintendent of Public Education, to be on board. Yes, we'd like that 8 o'clock. Same with Greg Bayless, Principal of Nordhoff, and a number of the current school board members. All are very concerned and are lending their voices for this appeal. We will keep you posted.
All right. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Peggy Lucera.
Hi, Honorables. I'm going to make this very brief. I have nothing prepared. I've done no research. I was in conversation with Mr. Wyrick. Is it Dr. Wyrick? Bill the other day.
Bill.
And
Yeah, you can
we
call
were
him
talking
Doc,
about
that's okay.
Chaparral Auditorium. And I felt, really strong. An idea was being floated that wouldn't it be great if the city, this was somebody else, if the city could purchase that property and all the different purposes for which it could be used, and a vision of Chaparral Auditorium itself as kind of an auxiliary council hall and a place for public meetings and public gatherings. And I don't know, it looks like this might be a done deal. I don't know what the closed session is about or where you're at on that, but I would hope that...
It doesn't involve the school property, though, the closed session that you're...
Oh, it doesn't?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, okay. Anyway, then maybe this isn't the right timing for this comment, but I guess I just want to say that I think that there isn't anybody in this room that doesn't have strong memories of good times and important times in our city's history in that room. The first presentation of the Nobel Peace Prize and all kinds of things have happened in Chaparral Auditorium, and people have very strong affective connection with that place, and I think it would just be great if it could be preserved for Ojai in some way, and I hope money would not be the object, because we can have bake sales. We can do that.
Thank you, Peggy. Okay, that concludes the public comment portion, and one more.
Am I up there?
Did you check public comment, or?
I have a comment card that Mr. Cantwell surreptitiously...
Yeah, but I do have one from Kevin, but you indicated you were going to talk on...
4D, can I talk to it now?
Okay, if it's quick, sure. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah.
quicker than 3, minute and a half. I'm Kevin Ruff. I'm a member of the school board, and I'm here to speak in favor of 4D, the complete streets, with particular focus on the enhancements at Nordhoff. As a parent out there for the last 2 years, it really is a very, very dangerous environment. It's particularly dangerous, I think, for pedestrians, and I'd like to thank Greg Grant a lot for really engaging this issue. He's looking to, as you know from these plans, put in some flashing lights. We're also looking to reduce the street down to 2 lanes, one on each side, so 1 lane. And it happens to be consistent with Mr. Shapiro's comments about big gravel trucks driving through there at 7 o'clock in the morning. Just does not seem like a recipe for safety. So I would ask you to do whatever you can do to see if we can get a reasonable accommodation to make those trucks wait until 8 o'clock. But I really mostly just like to thank you all for working on this. It's a big issue for those of us who have kids there. I mean, my kid, anecdotal, comments sometimes are powerful. I had a situation where a car probably went by at 60 miles per hour as my son stepped off the curb, waving to me, about to pick him up. It's just crazy out there. So thank you very much. I think I made it like minute 15.
Thank you, Kevin. And to underline what you just said, historically, that stretch of road, Dr. Fred Favre's son was killed there many years ago, coming from a swim lesson. So it is important. Thank you. Okay, can we go ahead and I guess Susan and I can't vote on the consent calendar with regard to minutes since we weren't here.
I'll move approval of the items 1, A, B, and C, I believe.
Right, correct.
I'll second.
Okay, it's first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? No? So we have 3 votes in favor, all seasoned members of the council. Okay. I think what Randy was wondering what we did. What I want to do is go to the organization. The discussion item 5, the nomination election of the mayor pro tem. We'll follow that through, and then we'll pick up the 2 items that were pulled off the consent agenda. So nominations are opened for mayor pro tem.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to nominate our current mayor pro tem, Wyrick, as mayor pro tem.
Okay.
And I'll second it.
Okay, yeah. Nominations do not require a second, but we appreciate that. Does anybody else need or have a nomination? If not, nominations are closed. With 1 nomination, shall we direct the clerk to cast a...
I guess we don't need to vote.
A vote of acclamation for...
Do it again.
Hear, hear.
Thank you.
That's
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Very good. Okay, resolution of intention to renew the Ojai Tourism Improvement District. Do we have any staff or city manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This matter has to do with the renewal of the Ojai Tourism Improvement District. Staff is recommending adoption of a resolution to declare the intention to renew the Ojai Tourism Improvement District and to fix a hearing date, and a second resolution to would request consent of the County of Ventura to renew the Ojai Tourism Improvement District. The district is a benefit assessment district that is proposed to continue funding marketing and sales promotion efforts for greater Ojai lodging businesses. The hoteliers in the valley have decided to pursue a renewal of the district in order to maintain a revenue source devoted to marketing Greater Ojai as a tourist meeting and event destination. If renewed, the district would generate approximately $460,000 annually for the promotion of travel and tourism specific to Ojai. And again, that is money that is collected by the hoteliers as a bed tax, and then they keep that money and then they decide amongst themselves how they can market Ojai. The current district was established in 2012, and that was for a 5-year term. That began November 1st, 2012, and extends through October 31st, 2017. The hoteliers are now wishing to renew the district for an additional 10 years. The resolution of intention and the resolution requesting consent are the first steps in the process. In your staff report, if you turn to page 6-3, there are some numbers that I need to give you. now that the petitions have been received from the hoteliers. So as of this date, petitions in favor of the district renewal were submitted by 11 lodging businesses, which represent 79% of the total district assessment, and that what they need is a simple majority, so they have met and exceeded that. So those are the numbers that we would be asking to insert into the resolution of intention. The resolution requesting consent is simply a request to the county, Ventura County Board of Supervisors to consent to include this portion in their territory for the renewed district. As part of the action, the city would be sending out notice to the hoteliers and lodging businesses. That would be sent out this month. A public meeting would then be scheduled for January 10th, 2017. However, that is not a public hearing. A public hearing would be held, though, on February 14th, 2017, at which point the council would consider comments from the public and could approve the renewal of the district. Alternatively, the council could choose not to adopt the resolution of intention to renew and the resolution requesting consent. That would effectively end the city's participation. Staff is not recommending this option. There is no direct fiscal impact. The the city would continue to retain the fee of 1% of the amount collected to pay for our costs of having to administer the district and the collections. Be happy to answer any questions.
Mayor Johnson.
Take public comments first? Or, oh, you want to?
Questions,
Yeah, go ahead.
staff.
Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
Council
Yeah, right.
Part of the report is the attachment 1, the management district plan. I did not see that in the packet. You supplied the information about the petition, but I did not see the, I saw the maps with the boundary of the district, but I did not see the service plan, budget, and proposed means of governance in the packet. Is that missing?
We could provide that to you.
Okay. I just have some discomfort voting for something that includes that reference without it being included.
I understand. We can provide that to you.
Can you vote? Okay, you have other questions for staff?
Just, well, you know what, I can wait for public comment and then it might be answered in public comment.
Okay. Oh, we have one card. Bill Miley, would you like to address the council?
Bill Miley, 919 North Signal Street. Part of what I need to say is that I've been here, my family's been here for 48 years. And when we first arrived, there was a sporting shop in the arcade. And the bowling alley was open, and our kids went there for a number of years. The essence of what I want to say is, I think we have too much visitor promotion going on. I think there is too much money being spent on visitor promotion. I think there's a real strong out of balance situation where we promote the visitors, we bring them in, and then we have to get more places for them to stay. And if you will remember in the last couple of years, the folks that were promoting short-term rentals kept saying, we don't have enough places for visitors. Weekends are full. We need the short-term rentals. Well, let's promote it more, and then we need more and more and more. I think there needs to be a balance. I read the proposed tourism improvement contract, so to speak. It looks like after a few years, the business people can vote themselves up to 2%. So it brings in more money. Now, $400,000 sounds like a lot of money for the promotion of tourism in Ojai when we're kind of full now. So I would suggest that the council should really look at that and see, because I think it's out of balance. Too much promotion for the services we have. I think the services we have are adequate. I think the promotion should be less. So I would suggest you don't approve this and change it to bring in less money. Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilman Haney, did you?
I don't know who I'll address them to staff, but the Owners Association Board, unless someone can talk to that, I'd like a better understanding of what that is, what its makeup is, how often does it meet, is there an annual budget, is it presented to all of the district businesses? That's some of the questions I'd like to understand.
The Owners Association is the Ojai Valley Chamber of Commerce. The Tourism Improvement District needs a nonprofit organization, and if they don't form one themselves, they need one to be what is called the Owners Association. Pardon me. And so the Chamber has stepped up to be that Owners Association. And the Chamber Board meets monthly. The Ojai Visitors Board Advisory Committee meets monthly as well, and they discuss the payments and investments that we've made on bringing people to town and how those investments play out toward increasing the TOT in town.
So again, is that an elected body, or it's your position as the paid body of the chamber?
The Chamber's board is elected by chamber members.
Okay. And
the advisory committee is composed of the hoteliers themselves.
Okay, all of them? So
all of those who wish to participate.
All that wish, okay, so you don't have...
They are all allowed to participate. They all give notice of the meetings, and if they show up and wish to participate, then they can.
Okay.
They may.
Okay. And how does that activity, how does it work with the visitor center? And do you guys do anything in conjunction with one another, or is the Ojai Visitor Center completely separate from what you do as a marketing branch?
We have the Ojai Visitors Bureau, which is at 109 North Blanche. It's across the street from the museum.
Right.
And we deal with visitors that walk in. We also are an outbound destination marketing effort that brings riders to town, and they extol what there is to do here in town to the readerships in their magazines and on their blogs.
Okay, thank you. Before we go any further with discussion, do I have a motion of some sort as to what the council wishes to do with this?
Is this time sensitive as to making a decision tonight?
Yes, we believe it is.
Mr. Mayor, for purposes of discussion, I'll go ahead and move for approval of the resolution.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor to approve this. Further discussion.
Yeah, just because I second doesn't mean I necessarily vote for it, because I just have a general rule that I don't like to vote for something that I don't have it completely in front of me. And we don't have a complete packet here, in terms of we don't have the management district plan, which is part of the resolution. And that's why I want to follow up on Councilperson's Francina comment. I noticed that this is, a current plan goes through October 31st of 2017. So I'm wondering about whether or not it's possible to get a complete package and do this again. How town sensitive is it if it expires through October 31st, 2017?
Mr. Eicher, if I could ask you to perhaps answer that question. I know we have the schedule laid out here, but if we were to push things back another month, how would that work with your schedule?
Different things would have to be rescheduled. The Visitors Bureau would spend more money on the committee that it's, rather the group that we hire to help us producing the MDP. We could probably do it for another month.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments? If not, shall we have a vote on the motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to say that I'm not necessarily voting no for this because of the fact I'm not in agreement with it, but I tend to agree with Mayor Pro Tem Wyrick. If we have an incomplete package, we have nothing before us to vote yes on.
Okay, calling the vote. Councilmember Francina?
Well, no.
Councilmember Haney?
No.
Councilmember Blatz?
No?
Mayor Pro Tem Wyrick?
No.
Mayor Johnson?
No. So we'll re-agendize with the rest of the information. Right, thank you. Okay, our next topic, draft alternative ground basin report. Recommendation, the city council give direction to the city's OBGMA representative, which is Councilman Blatt, on the draft alternative groundwater plan. Do we have the staff report? How are we going to proceed on this? I have a note from Russ Baggerly who's on that. I don't know whether he's just to comment or who's going to present what.
Well, staff was requested to add this to the agenda on Friday. We did not have any opportunity to prepare a staff report or do any analysis. So what we did was we sent along the draft plan, and then I understand that Mr. Baggerly tonight presented a new copy of the plan, which staff also just received at the same time as the council members are. So I believe you have a copy of today's version of that plan from Mr. Baggerly. And I would recommend that you invite Mr. Baggerly up to make some comments or presentation.
Okay, I have four cards, and we'll start with Russ. Congratulations on give us another shot at you.
Hey, same here,
Yeah.
Mayor Johnston.
Right, okay.
I also saw that Jordan just walked in, so.
Yeah, he ought to be pretty muddy. He's been out in the field dealing with a well. I'm here to answer questions, but before I start, do you mind if I correct a word that everybody's using these days? It's desalination.
Right, no Z.
No Z, please.
That's my wife clapped. The English teacher, yeah, okay.
Okay, so if you have questions, let them fly.
Okay, great. Anybody have any questions of Russ, or should we just?
I know Randy does. I know Bill does.
If I might, because I sit on the board with Mr. Baggerly. Russ, there seemed to have been, on Thursday night, I think that's when we met, was Friday night, whatever it was, a great deal of confusion that I think needs clarification. And that is that the OBGMA is fully allowed, pursuant to the Water Code, to present the state with what is called a alternate demonstration that our basin is unique enough so that it doesn't need a full sustainability plan prepared. And that's because of a 10-year history of never being in overdraft. However, there was a number of people speaking and a number of people that have spoken to me that feel as though what this plan does is justifies why the management of the basin doesn't have to do anything. And that's the appearance that it has, is that we're doing nothing. We're presenting a plan, granted, consistent with state law, we believe, that says we don't have to do anything because of our expertise in managing the basin in the past 10 years. But people believe that that's not enough. We need something that says we're going to do something other than what we have done in the past. And that's the sense I get. So how do you answer questions like that?
Well, let's start at the beginning. First of all, the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act does provide for a groundwater sustainability agency, which OBGMA is one of 17 exclusive agencies that were automatically allowed to become a GSA. That's a groundwater sustainability agency. The act itself does provide for an alternative plan. And it's unfortunate that they use that word plan because it's not. It's an assessment based on facts that we have collected over our 25-year history, supported by scientific evidence. And that's what it is. It's not a policy document. We have a groundwater management plan in place right now, and it does need to be revised. My read of the statute says that if we're going to strengthen that groundwater management plan that is in existence right now, we have to submit this alternative demonstration to the Department of Water Resources. It's not a plan. It's not a policy document. It's a demonstration of what we have achieved. And what we have achieved, we believe, and I'll use that word, Bill, believe, because that's in the law too. If you want to ask me about that, I'll tell you what we believe. We believe in the facts that we have collected over 25 years, and we believe in the science that we're supporting those facts. We believe that we have achieved our sustainability goal. That's part of the law. And if we can prove to the Department of Water Resources that that is actually the case, then we will not have to develop a groundwater sustainability plan that is largely designed for basins that are in critical overdraft. And we're not.
Okay.
And we never have been.
Thank you, Russ. We have Supervisor Steve Bennett here, and so it's not to keep him all evening. Let's hear from Steve, and then we can come back if we have, well, we actually have 3 other cards.
My time again.
I didn't plan that one. Good evening. Am I on? There we go. I think I'm on now. Great, thanks. Thank you for your time. And as I said when I was at the Ojai Basin Groundwater Management Agency, water is a complicated issue. So it's hard to condense it down into 3 minutes speaking to you at this point in time. I would also offer to you, because it's a complicated issue, it's an easy issue to keep the public at arm's length on, because you can throw some technical information there, and the public, it sounds good, and then they go on. So the city of Ojai has a unique seat on the Ojai Basin Groundwater Management Agency. City of Ojai is the only seat on there that represents sort of a general purpose government agency that represents a broad interest of the public. Everybody else has a very specific purpose there. And essentially 4 out of 5 seats on the board are for pumpers and water purveyors, and I would offer that you have a unique responsibility to represent the public's input into this very important resource for the public that's out there. I know, as I look at the agency, I know that the agency is doing a very good job of representing the interests of the pumpers. I don't have that same confidence that it's doing a good job of representing the interest of the general public. I can see how keeping fees down is something that pumpers would be really interested in. It's not a bad goal, but it shouldn't be the primary goal. It's a secondary thing that you should accomplish. But keeping the fees down and at the same time saying we don't have the resources to be able to do the management things or even to do the public outreach and the public communication, and I'm sorry for that, that people think is appropriate, I'm not sure that's in the best interest of the public. I can see how submitting this plan is good for the pumpers, because it allows the status quo to continue, the status quo that's been out there for a long time. And I would offer to you, the world is changing from that standpoint, but the status quo is not going to really get the public the proper representation on the Ojai Basin Groundwater Management Agency that I think they should have. In general, people who are extracting a resource want that regulatory agency to be starved for resources, so that that regulatory agency does not have the data, the ability, everything that it might need to do more regulation or more management of the extraction of that resource. In general, discounting the public input, and without burdening you with all of that, I think that the public input process on this plan, this report that is going, has been atrocious. I reached out as the county supervisor representing people here. I reached out weeks and weeks ago, and I was told, yes, I'd get the plan, yes, I'd get the draft, and every time it was, no, you're not going to get it now. And the comments that were in the newspaper, where the chairman of the committee said, we don't have to release a plan. I saw it just now. SGMA doesn't require us to release a plan. They're a Brown Act agency. They do have to release a plan, and they released it a few hours before the legal deadline. For a plan, for whatever you want to call it, a report or a plan like this, to be handled that way is discounting the public's input in the process. But I can see why pumpers in general would like to have the public discounted, so that there isn't as much accountability, there isn't as much oversight as you go forward. The response that I got at the Ojai Basin Groundwater Management Agency to the very specific things that I talked about in terms of was, in my mind, very disconcerting. Because instead of saying, gosh, we feel terrible about not getting this out, we wish we would have done that, et cetera, instead we got into a long conversation about whether it's a plan or a report, whether it's a policy decision or not a policy decision, and then we even got chided because the public somehow is supposed to not be able to expect to have full participation if they haven't shown up at meetings last summer when when there was no report to actually criticize.
Okay. Supervisor Bennett, can you stick around a little bit? Your time has been exceeded, and I have two others, and then maybe the council can ask questions if all you folks can hang in there?
Sure. If I'll leave you with this thought, just so that you have that thought if I'm not back up. But this is an important agency. The state has really empowered this agency with a lot more power than it used to have. The creation of this plan is the way that many places are updating their plan. But whether the Ojai City Council should go along with this, they identified at the hearing that they have 4 votes for this plan. This was postponed for only one reason, not to give the public more time for input, but to get a unanimous vote, because Mr. Blatz indicated that he had to bring it to you before he could vote yes for it. I think you should think twice about that as you go forward. Thank you very much. I'll be happy to stick around.
Next speaker is Larry Yee.
Well, good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the council. And first, I'd just like to congratulate you, Johnny, and you, Sousa, upon your election, and we really look forward to your leadership. My name is Larry Yee, and I've been a resident of the Valley for 31 years and reside at 306 Del Norte Road. Nearly 4 years ago, I was dropped into the deep end of the pool when the governor appointed me to the LA Ventura Regional Water Quality Control Board. And it's been a huge learning experience, I can tell you. And while I have learned a lot, I still do not consider myself to be a water expert. But with respect to water quality, all surface and groundwater in the region fall under our jurisdiction. And because of our regulatory role, I have chosen to stay low profile to avoid any conflicts of interest. However, given the deepening water crisis in the Ojai Valley, I feel compelled to come off the sidelines and be an informed, active, and engaged citizen to try to find solutions to our valley's water challenges and improve sustainability and reliability. So I'm here tonight not as a regional water board member, but as a private concerned citizen. And with all due respect to the work that's already been done, I am here to recommend that you not approve the alternative sustainability plan / report that the OBGMA is soon required to submit to the State Department of Water Resources. For two reasons. Number one, it's already been mentioned, the OBGMA did not allow time for adequate public review and comment and input. And number two, I have reviewed the plan now, and I believe it is terribly lacking and deficient. Given the critical water situation in the Ojai Valley, it's incumbent upon the OBGMA to do their best to plan for a sustainable water future and not just present DWR with a status report. You can't drive into the future looking into the rear view mirror. We need a plan that sets goals, assesses undesirable results and scenarios, gauges reasonable risk, and develops measurable objectives, et cetera, all the things that a groundwater sustainability plan should address. Now, the OBGMA will argue that a more extensive groundwater sustainability plan is not necessary, and that the alternative sustainability plan is sufficient, and that they don't have the capacity or resources to do more than a groundwater sustainability plan. Well, I disagree and strongly believe that the Ojai Basin absolutely needs a groundwater sustainability plan. And if there aren't enough resources to do one, let's get help, which, by the way, is available. So as I've watched the water crisis unfold over the past 6 months or so, many concerned citizens throughout the valley are asking, what's the plan? Meaning, what is our plan for a more sustainable and reliable water future given the circumstances that we now find ourselves in? First, we have been alarmed that the Casitas Water District has no plan other than to move through stages 4 and 5 as the drought gets worse. And now we learn that the GMA, which manages our other source of water, the Ojai Basin, has no plan. We can do better. We have to do better. And the people of the Ojai Valley deserve no less. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bill Miley.
Bill Miley, 919 North Signal Street. I have attended OBGMA water board meetings on and off for the past 4 to 6 years. I have looked over the plan. I was at the meeting last Thursday. And to summarize, and then I'll give you my reasons. The board, as I understand what they've done, is working very hard from their particular points of view. Our city, I believe, needs and must play a much bigger role and more significant role on this board. We're this sort of this hub of this circle, and the outside may be the basin, but we also have another basin that's in the process of being formed, as you know, south of us towards the Ventura Beach. I would suggest that there are significant factors not addressed in this report. And I would going to suggest that you vote no, but I'll tell you why. Or direct your representative to vote no. One, I assume that Golden State Water Company, as it reduces its water extraction as consumers cut back, and as their wells produce less water, they go lower, and I understand that air gets in the water, but I may be wrong here. Their buying from Casitas should also get cut back to the Casitas customer limit, stage 3. but I don't know that. 2, each Casitas customer in our basin is limited to only the water allowed under Stage 3 rules. Is Golden State getting that reduction? I don't know that. 3, how does Golden State determine how much water they should pump or how much water they should buy? Do they pump full bore until it dries out and then they get it from Casitas, or do they buy Casitas and then fill it in with their own groundwater? And I don't want to run out of time here. Okay. It seems to me that the relationship with Casitas storage and their export sales to this basin needs a more in-depth look at to see what's going on. I would suggest that from the standpoint of public discussion and public input, probably the biggest issue or factor that wasn't publicly discussed or available to the public was when the board made their decision to go to an alternative plan rather than a sustainability plan, which I understand was 2 years ago or so. I think a lot of us would have had input if we knew that was going on. Now, I don't watch the OBGN agenda every month, so maybe I should have, okay. So just in the last 3 years, or 4 years, according to a new update of the chart on page 27, I think it is, showing import to the basin from Casitas, they increased their sales. In 2013, it was 4,600 acre feet. 2014, it was 5,000 acre feet. 2015, it was 42,100 acre feet. And I know before that it was 2,900, but that may have rained a lot. So I would suggest there's a lot more that needs to be in this report. Okay. And the city needs to suggest to not approve it and work towards becoming more involved and getting more information on a regular basis.
Okay, well,
We need to know on a
Your
2-month
time.
basis
Okay,
what Golden State Water is doing.
yeah, got it. Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion to give our representative direction. Do I have a motion?
I have a question for, can we give Russ Baggerly an opportunity to respond?
After we have a motion on the floor as part of the discussion, all of the people here who have some expertise, and Russ is from the board, so certainly, but do we have a motion? Are we going to give our representative any kind of guidance?
Well, I have a lot of questions that I'd like to ask, and I'd like to further the discussion. But if you'd like someone to make a motion, I'll make a motion that we not approve the OBGMA plan.
Okay.
As it sits, and then open this for discussion.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Second for discussion.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second for discussion, sorry.
Right, thank you. Councilman Wyrick seconded the motion. Okay, questions? Who wants to direct a question to whom?
Mr. Mayor, I've got a question to Mr. Yu, if he could come up again, please. One of the things you said, I just had a question on. And I understand, and what I'm trying to get my grasp around here is the legality of this alternate demonstration and what we would like to see. So that's where I'm trying to get at it. So my question is, you said that the alternate demonstration was terribly deficient. Now my question is it terribly deficient as it stands as an alternate demonstration, or is it terribly deficient because you don't think we should do this, but we should do a full sustainability plan?
I'm sure they follow the criteria for the alternative report/plan. But to me, it falls way short of what we actually need for the valley here. And so I recommend that we go the full 9 yards and do a groundwater sustainability plan. Now, I know it's, a ton more work, a lot more things to think about. I know the budget resources for OBGMA are limited, but as I said, there is help. If we raise our hand up, there's help not only, I know, in the county, but there are resources in the state to come to our aid. We should be able to get not only technical assistance, but, financial assistance to do this. The valley needs a plan. And, I heard Mr. Baggerly say that, well, there is a groundwater management plan, but it does need to be revised and updated. I don't see why we can't fold it all together and have, a sustainability plan for the basin.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Yee, I had a quick question.
Larry, you
You came too quick. I know there are grants from DWR and other agencies to assist with this kind of thing.
Yes, and I'm not,
And I'm not going to ask you about, the specifics. I just know they exist.
That's true. They do.
But I would wonder if you could comment on whether or not, because I know that you are looking for more coordination across agencies in the Ojai Valley. At least I've heard you say that.
Well, it's now my mission to look at the creation or formation of a single, fully integrated regional water authority for the entire valley and all of its water resources. Right. That goes beyond just simply taking the existing agencies and entities and coordinating them. I'm talking about a whole new authority.
And I understand that, and I'm not going that far quite yet, but I am going to ask you an intermediate, a very small step towards that vision. And that is, do you know whether the people that review grant applications for this kind of assistance view favorably or unfavorably coordination or a joint agency application on a defined, say, Ojai Valley, as opposed to single agency applications?
I don't know
Okay,
that.
just curious if you might know that.
But I get the feeling from some of the contacts that I have at the state level that they very much are looking forward to coordination, cooperation, and working together more on a, let's say, watershed approach, rather than having a whole number of different little entities trying to manage and control and govern our water resources.
Thank you.
We have
I'm sorry.
one watershed here in the valley.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Lee, just before you leave, I just want to make a quick comment on your assessment, and I agree with you 100%. And I appreciate you bringing it up in the manner that you have in the public, because you are articulating it a heck of a lot better than I have. But I agree with you 100%. 100%. We need to look at this valley as a whole, not as in pieces. So thank you for your input.
Thank you. We've got a ways to go, but we can get there.
I have some questions for Mr. Bagley. Russ, I had told Russ this privately, and I'll just say it publicly, that, this is not a Q&A to tear apart OBGMA or to question the integrity of you or Jordan or anyone on the board. It's just a flushing out and an opportunity to speak and relate to you the questions that we've all received as council people. So regarding the plan or the summary or the alternative, if you submit it and it fails, what's your plan B?
We would have to do a groundwater sustainability plan, probably in the neighborhood of $300,000 to $600,000 worth. I'm guessing. I don't know. I haven't.
You don't have an accurate number.
Fox Canyon Groundwater Management Agency has budgeted over $1 million for theirs, right. So it's not going to be cheap.
Okay, so when we look at that aspect of it, and then we look at the OBGMA budget, the fact that your extraction fees have been so small for the 25 years of its existence, do you think that's kind of a contributing factor to the fact that you don't have money or resources to do a full-blown sustainability plan?
If we were going to try to raise that kind of money, we'd have to go back to the legislature to raise again the cap for extraction fees. Right now, it's capped at $25. Before that, it was capped at $7.50. We are an enterprise zone or agency, and we can do that, but it's going to take some time to get a bill through the legislature. I would like to say that while I find it curious that we come before you with a alternative demonstration that shows that the basin is actually operating quite well. It's not in critical overdraft, never has been. The fact that everybody is upset is because of the drought. The low water levels do not indicate overdraft. It's because there hasn't been any rain.
Well,
And just one more thing, Randy. If we can't send this alternative report and get it approved by the Department of Water Resources, we won't be able to, I mean, if we got it approved, we would be able to update our current groundwater management plan. You can do all the things that you guys are thinking about in our current plan at a much cheaper price. We can do it by motion, resolution, and ordinance, and we know what we need to do. But the groundwater sustainability plan that everybody's looking for goes way overboard for those groundwater agencies that are in critical overdraft, haven't done what they needed to do. They haven't done what OBGMA has done.
Well, I think one of the problems that you're running into is the fact that all of the information that you're providing, and I believe that some of that information is lacking, and it's lacking due to the fact that a lot of the numbers that you're disseminating are based on aquifer users submitting data that isn't supported by anything factual. In other words, if you had...
Not factual.
Yes, and what I'm saying to that is, and again, this is not an argument, I'm just trying to tell you how I'm viewing it, is a lot of these wells in the past never had a meter. Okay, they may have been verified and that we knew that we had a well on site, but the reporting mechanism was, I don't know how you could report if you don't have anything.
It's called a crop factor.
Okay, that's one aspect, but I would think
No,
actually.
that is the aspect. And Randy, the crop factor actually overestimates the water use.
Okay,
So extraction.
Again, I really, I don't want to argue, I just want to state my position on it, and I appreciate you allowing me to do that. So again, I just think some of the information that you're providing is inaccurate. That's based on that a flow meter or a meter in general is going to be more accurate than an estimation. So that's one thing. The fact that the GSA plan, its requirement is a high level. And I'm under the, but it's up here. But I'm also under the impression from the people that I've talked to is that the alternative is equal to or will be looked at as something greater, because you're not supplying the sustainability. What you're doing is demonstrating that this aquifer has sustained itself over the last 25 years. So
it's a little more than that. We believe that there's this concept in the law called the sustainability goal. We believe we've accomplished that. And that's what the groundwater sustainability plan is supposed to get you to over a 50-year horizon. We've already done it.
So getting back to what the public is concerned with, and I have the same concerns, is that we're looking at this body of water over the past, and we're not looking at it presently, and we're not looking at it in the future. And we're not looking at the conjunctive use of the aquifer along with the lake. So at this point in time, you can say, over the last 25 years, the aquifer has managed itself, it's in good shape, we have no issues. But if the lake and the precipitation rates continue at the level that they are right now, how is that going to impact the aquifer? And I believe that your Sustainability Act would actually...
Andy, I'm going to interrupt you just for a moment. That we should be asking questions for more information at this point, and then when we take this under advisement, I mean, you're making an argument for something that I tend to agree with, but you've concluded. We need to know what, if you have any questions more for Russ on additional data.
Okay, so I have some questions right here then. Okay, so the DWR requires the alternative plan or summary to be held to the same or higher standard as the GSP. So it's important that throughout the presentation of technical and management conditions of the basin, it appears that the intent of your alt plan is to demonstrate that undesirable conditions do not exist. That's what I believe is that you're presenting. These conditions do not exist, okay? The Ojai Basin and therefore the GSP is not needed. I'm of the opinion that your alter plan does not meet this threshold, and here's some of the reasons why.
What is the question for
So,
us?
under the first general principle that guides this summary, groundwater conditions must be adequately defined and monitored to demonstrate that a plan is achieving the sustainability goal of the basin. So the question is, how did or do you achieve complete extraction numbers from 1991 to present when you did not require flow meters or metering compliance until 7/30/15? So that's a question, and you already answered it by saying that you're using crop.
Okay, so it's been
Okay.
answered, okay, good.
No, but I have more, okay?
Well, I know, but let's, we're getting late, and we've got people that
Well,
are
that's
waiting.
fine, but we're here to have a discussion, Mayor, and
Yeah,
I would
but-
like to,
okay.
and I'd like to continue with this.
Right,
This
but-
is a very, very important discussion that this community
I know,
has.
but there, we have another councilman to comment or ask questions too, so if you have some specific questions of the speaker, that'd be great, then we can come back to this after everybody's had their chance to gather the information. Does anybody else have something they need from Mr. Baggerly?
Mr. Mayor, just
I have
quickly.
two, I promise, short questions.
Mine are
I'll
very
defer.
short. Russ, the city of Ojai only has one seat on the OBGMA. Does this plan require a unanimous vote
No.
to be submitted?
Three votes.
Okay.
Got to have a majority.
Okay, thank you.
Bill?
Two quick questions. The model calibration period, 1970 to 2009, that's cited in the report. I'm reading on page 21. Groundwater and storage did not change appreciably from the beginning to the end of the calibration period, 1970 to 2009.
I'm going to pass the ball
Okay.
to our hydrogeologist, Jordan Keir.
It's a very quick question, Jordan.
Come on, Jordan.
I promise, extremely quick question. He can yell it to you maybe or something.
Okay,
Do you have the average rainfall statistic for the model calibration period? Just the model calibration period, the average annual rainfall just in that calibration period?
You need to come up here, Jordan.
I wouldn't imagine.
If you don't have it, that's fine. Just asking if you know
I
it.
don't have the exact number, but we believe it is in the order of the 21.25 inches per.
That was my question, obviously, see if it was any different from the average over a longer period.
I believe it's
Second
within-
quick question.
Statistically within the average.
You mentioned on page 23, predicted total participation for the 2015 to 2020 ranges from around 111 inches in the dry conditions, the lowest level, 132 inches in median conditions, and 146 inches in wet conditions. You used the word dry condition simulation. That's over 20 inches of rain at the lowest dry simulation referred to on page 23.
Those are
5
just-
years, 111 inches, that's a little over 20 inches of rain at the low end under what's called dry conditions.
What's the question?
Is that indeed what it means? That's what the assumption is when you're looking at looking forward on future simulation? It uses the word simulation here. That your lowest level of participation
that's the
you're
model.
using in simulation is over 20 inches a year.
It's a model.
Is that true or
That
not?
was an assumption that the modeler used, yes.
Thank you. That's all I need to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And if I may add, I believe you're referring to inches of recharge when you say 111.
It says the predicted total precipitation from 2015 to 2020 ranges from around 111 inches in the dry conditions simulation.
That's for the
Precipitation.
for the entire period.
Yes, which is
that
over
would be-
20 inches a year
That's the average, yeah.
in the dry condition simulation.
We'd want to check that.
Yeah,
Thank
okay,
you.
thank you. Okay, Susan, did you have anything you wanted to add at this point?
No, not right.
Okay, I will weigh in at this point. It seems to me, from listening to the meeting over at the Groundwater Management Group, that what this report does is qualifies for an exemption. And once it qualifies for the exemption, then we don't go back and visit that, and then we are sort of, it's what we believe locally is going to happen. And if I understood you correctly, Ms. Bagley, you said that the existing plan is in need of revision, but has not been revised, and which...
Actually, Mayor Johnston,
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, I got to get used to that.
Yeah.
The Sigma law precludes us from changing our groundwater management plan right now because we're going through these machinations of whether or not we're going to do the more complicated groundwater sustainability plan or this alternative demonstration.
Okay, so what we have heard tonight is that it's what do you believe? Do you believe that the last 10 years is really indicative of what's coming up? And whether or not you believe that not you, but whether or not whoever believes that the plan that we would come up with on ourselves is going to deal with this. And there are a lot of people that question that. You have 4 votes apparently to approve it, so it's just a question of whether or not this council wants to make it unanimous or send a message that we don't believe that it, up to this point, has been engaging. Not that that's their fault, but we have not been fully engaged, and maybe next time around we will get more information earlier. It seems to me that is the choice we're making. Are we going to, do we believe enough in the report to make it unanimous, or do we want to make our statement that we still have so many questions, we are skeptical, and therefore proceed with it? Because you have to go ahead anyway, right? You have to file if you're going to get your exemption. So it's just a matter of where we want to be on record. So,
a motion.
Yeah, we have a motion, we have a second, and if there's no further discussion, let's have a call for the question. Can we have a roll call?
Councilmember Haney?
And let's restate the motion. Is it the motion was?
To deny.
To deny, or to direct our representative, okay?
Councilmember Haney?
Yeah, I'm still caught up in the fact that I had a ton of questions here that I didn't get to ask. And there's a ton of questions that this community has not had the opportunity to ask. So again, I'm voting no.
Well,
You're voting to
yes.
deny?
I'm voting yes to,
Okay.
for my motion.
Councilman,
Wait a minute. You vote yes to deny?
Yes.
the motion is
To deny.
to deny.
Okay, Councilmember Blatz?
Yes.
Councilmember Francina?
Yes.
Councilmember, or Mayor Pro Tem Wyrick?
Yes.
Mayor Johnson?
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay, next item. We have the items that were pulled from the consent agenda, which is the Safe Streets, and I still had a few people who wanted to speak on that subject, if I get the, right. Okay, let's see. Kevin spoke already. Kathy Nolan? Is Kathy still?
Kathy?
And what are we speaking?
Speaking on 4D.
So we were going back to this? I thought you were not going to cover it.
Well, what they did is they pulled it off, but a couple of people, since it was not on the agenda, they were allowed to speak under public comment.
Okay, well, my name is Kathy Nolan. I live at 340 Avenida de la Vereda, and I'm a planning commissioner, and I'm also the chair of the Complete Streets Subcommittee. And I'm actually here to make some thank yous, but I also wanted to say that I became a commissioner in 2010, and a couple of months after I was a commissioner, our planner came to council or our commission and let us know that city council was giving us the task of writing a complete streets policy. So a subcommittee was formed in 2010, and 2011 I became the chair, but we did actually write the policy or help write the policy for the city. It was adopted. And then in 2011 I came back to council after completing that task and asked if we could be a standing committee. And we knew the city didn't have the funds, but if we could raise the funds, we wanted to write an implementation or master plan. I would leave the definition up to the city attorney to determine the name. But we got approval to do that. And long story short, we tried getting some grants, missed a really good grant by 1 point. And in the meantime, our public works director was able to come up with some funding and hired a consultant who did a base plan for us. But what I really wanted to do is I wanted to say thank you to the city council for trusting us, the commissioners and the members of the public who actually make up this subcommittee, and staff. So basically, a lot of the work that's been done has been volunteer work, aside from what the consultant was paid. We've been working on it for years. Councilperson Francina, who actually kind of spearheaded this whole movement years ago, I wanted to thank you. And I really wanted to thank our Public Works Director, Greg Grant, who none of this would happen without his work. He's been phenomenal in acquiring grants and then working with us and coming on a regular basis. We meet once a month on Wednesdays at City Hall. And I will say that I have the members of the public that are part of this group. We've had some that have been coming for years without fail. And we have people that come and move and go. But everybody participates, and I just feel like it's a wonderful collaborative effort. Our goal is to make the streets safer, but it also includes things like making it accessible for everyone, pedestrians, bike riders, cars, emergency vehicles, seniors, ADA accessibility. And it also includes stormwater capture, street tree planting. It could be even public art or site furnishings. So it's really anything that could happen or impact the public space. And so I just wanted to once again say thank you to everyone for doing that. And I highly encourage you to take a look at this. The safety crossings are crucial. We've had a lot of feedback, and it was really nice to hear some comments tonight. And then, of course, the master plan and the ATP grant, which the ATP grant is phenomenal. And I was informed that it was really not that easy to get, but because we have the Complete Streets Committee, and we already had the policy adopted, and we're part of the way through our implementation or master plan, that helped us get the grant.
Great.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Our next speaker, Russell Sidney.
Honorable Mayor, council members, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak, and congratulations on your new configuration. I'm here to support the effort to get the Complete Streets implemented as effectively and as quickly as possible, and it's exciting to see it move forward. The bicycle and pedestrian safety measures need to get incorporated into our community because it's important for creating a bicycle-friendly community and all the benefits that go with that. The concern is to implement the programs so they are as effective and so they can be implemented in as timely a manner as possible. The Complete Streets Plan is overdue for review by the Planning Commission. Anything we can do to get that to happen expeditiously would be appreciated. It's important to creating a viable plan for the future of bicycle safety. The Active Transportation Grant is a big concern. It's $2.8 million worth of improvements, and we will never have a better opportunity to create our community as a bicycle-safe place. There are developments in bicycle technology that are not reflected in that plan. There are elements of the plan as it exists now that are of a technical nature that really require they be considered in depth by people that understand bicycle safety. We have a strong bicycle community in this valley, and the ability for them to interact with that plan is of key and critical importance. And I would really encourage that whatever resolution you use to advance this makes sure that the bicycle community has the ability to see that what we know and what we have learned over many years is incorporated in that plan to create as much safety as possible. The new technologies have been developed over the last 20 years, and we've worked with them around the planet, and various bicycle networks have brought those technologies forward to both the state and the federal level. And there's some wonderful things that are available in places like Holland and that have been implemented more recently in this country in some of the bicycle-friendly cities. Those technologies are important, and they provide solutions that would allow us to have effective bicycle transportation in this community. Without those technologies, as one of the bicycle shop owners said, if you have a plan that isn't completely safe, it's not safe at all. So incorporating those technologies become important, and having safe routes to school, making sure the kids can get to and from the schools without being exposed to high-speed traffic, which is certainly the big issue in the preliminary designs that we've seen, is important. So thank you so much, and please, we encourage you to give the staff all the support and all the resources they need to get this right, because without those resources, without the time to really investigate this, we will not end up with the best possible results.
Thank you, Russell.
Thank you, and thank you to the staff for their efforts on this.
I have a card from the ubiquitous Bill Miley.
I was going to call you ubiquitous.
Yeah, right.
Bill Miley, I was looking for more agenda items, but you don't have them.
Yeah, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I strongly
Don't have a motion yet either, so.
I strongly support the Whispering Oaks and the Nordhoff High School pedestrian crossing improvements. I'll tell you why. Also, I almost strongly, because I need to know more, the status report on the Complete Streets Master Plan and Active Transportation Program, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. Okay. I attended the Whispering Oaks public reviews that have been held over the last couple of years, and I also went to the workshop that was held within the last year at the Women's Center, multiple days. The Whispering Oaks is much needed. I support the second version, the one that's planned on the east side of the Whispering Oaks entrance and exit. It's really great, and it's very needed and wanted. Perfect. The Maricopa pedestrian crossing improvements are long needed, and I remember Dr. Falver's loss too. Please ask, and this is an aside, please ask the Public Works Department to consult with Nordhoff administration regarding the 2 overhead children are present lights, which if you violate it, you're supposed to get double fines. But nobody patrols that anymore, I gather, which unfortunately are still on in the summertime. Blinking, 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 blinking. And you know, if you call Wolf too many times, people don't pay attention. I've seen people driving 35, 40 miles an hour when the lights are on, but there are no kids there. But when the kids are there, they still do it. So those need to be turned off when they're not needed, okay? The proposed bike lanes on Maricopa Highway, great idea. Nix the 4-lane highway. But that's not nearly as bad as the 4-lane going through Oakview. That's terrible. I understand that when it was a 2-lane, there were oak trees on both sides. They cut them down. Having in-roadway barriers with trees for bike lanes on the Maricopa Highway is a great idea, and it adds beauty. Only the little concern about planting trees in the center island, it's a great view going north of our mountains, and I don't think we should block those. Ojai Avenue improvements, bike lanes on Ojai Avenue, I'm not sure about that. What about the trail? The Y crossing, I think, is very problematic, and it's not the best. It's really not the best. Also, the drive in and out of the Y at the shopping center on Highway 33 is really problematic, and I don't know what to do about it. Regarding the Ojai liquor store curve coming into town from Ventura, the proposed bike lanes in center would be good. Also parking on the north side, I like that. The speed limit on that section from Country Club to downtown Ojai should not be 35 miles an hour. It should be 30 or less, 25. That really needs to be changed. Regarding the street interchange lights along Ojai Avenue from, say, Cañada to Gridley.
Bill, if you have this all in writing, if you want to just submit that to the...
No, I got 2 more sentences.
Okay, quick.
Okay.
You also have a red light.
Well, that's...
You know what that means in traffic terms.
30 seconds?
Okay.
Okay.
Traffic safety.
Check the lights on Ojai Avenue, the ones that are proposed. There may be visual pollution there. I don't know about that. Last thing, I conclude. I recognize the time and energy the Complete Streets Subcommittee has done and will spend. Nicely done. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have one last card. Is this Renee? No.
Hello, members of the council and Mayor Johnny. Is that okay if we call you that?
Absolutely.
I just want to say I have been participating in the Complete Streets Committee for about 6 months, maybe 8 months. And I want to say it's a really great example of citizens being able to participate in the process. You should be commended, Greg should be commended, Kathy Nolan should be commended. I went there with a specific agenda, and that was the Nordhoff High School. I wanted to make sure that not just one crosswalk was safe, but all of them are safe. And I was listened to, I was heard, money was found to be able to increase the amount of safety at those additional crosswalks. And that's really, really important to me because I go back and forth on that highway every day walking with the Nordhoff kids, with dogs, with, you know, I have to get out there and really tell cars to stop because people don't see you. So it is really a problem. I really want to commend the city and your efforts to bring people to the table to communicate and have their voice be heard. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you for those comments. Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I'll move to approve the two recommendations, beginning with the word adopt the plans and specifications, and to receive and file the status report with the addition of one phrase. After the word design in the third sentence, include the language in compliance with Municipal Code 10-2.2006, beginning and end parentheses, public structures and complete streets.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Mr. Mayor, excuse me, I believe we have one more speaker card up there. I do apologize. I believe it was turned in by Cynthia Wyrick.
Not on Complete Streets. It says water activist or something. Or water tourists?
That's me.
Does this have something to do with the Complete Streets?
No.
No, okay. We have a motion on the floor. Thank you.
I apologize.
Can I make a comment if it's been seconded?
Sure.
Mr. Graham, I'm a little frustrated that your projected construction is 2019 to 2020 for this. And I know you have a lot of frustration dealing with Caltrans, and you're trying to be realistic in presenting what that means in terms of dealing with Caltrans. And all I ask is just a comment, not amending the motion. But is it possible to piecemeal this a little bit and break it up to get some of these really critical safety issues addressed quicker, rather than just waiting for the whole thing to be approved by Caltrans before we move ahead on some of these really problem areas like Whispering Oaks that people have just been complaining about for years, and to tell them they got to wait another 2 to 3 years is a problem.
And this be done incrementally.
And I think the good news is we are doing it incrementally. I mean, the first recommendation is the Whispering Oaks crosswalk, as well as the 4 crossings adjacent to Nordhoff High School. Will all be done as soon as possible. We have those underway right now.
So possibly before 2019.
Yeah, and so I think those, I did promise you, I think the last meeting, 6 months, with a little caveat that I can't totally control Caltrans, but I think we're in line to do that. We already have funding in place with separate grants, and we have the design underway and permitting underway with Caltrans, so I think we're going to hit that goal. And if it makes you feel any better, Caltrans is planning to overlay the same road section, Maricopa and Ojai Avenue. They're planning right now to complete that 2 years after 2021. So simple overlay is going to take an extra, they take 5 to 6 years to plan an overlay. It's amazing. So.
That makes us feel better? Okay, exactly. By comparison, you look great.
I'd like to add a comment while Greg is here. Greg, not a day goes by that I don't have someone ask, why can't we have the crosswalk at Blanche and Kenyatta improved? And we had another almost near, possibly a fatal accident. You're probably aware that Shirley LaBar was crossing. She's in the, she was hit by a motorcycle while crossing at Ojai Avenue and Blanche Street on Saturday. She was on her scooter in the crosswalk, which I think is common for older people to do, and she's in the intensive care unit. She will be 92 on the 31st if she survives. Can we please have safety crosswalks on all crossings on Ojai Avenue? And everyone loves those yellow safety lights that we have at the library. So what is the hindrance when this is such an urgent public safety issue? I mean, why does it take so long? I mean, someone said that if we have enough accidents, that shows that we need it. So, I mean, how many more accidents do we need?
I think the good news is that the ATP grant, the Active Transportation Program, is a very difficult grant to secure. And again, the good side is we secured that grant. I mean, it was really a shot in the dark that we'd actually be able to make it. We attempted, and we worked hard at that grant, and we secured $2.8 million in funding. So we're the first city, with a lot of big cities competing in county, competing with us, to secure a grant of that size, the ATP. So it was a big bonus to the city. Unfortunately, the timeline with it has to go through NEPA and CEQA reviews, and it's got 2 different oversight bodies that take a long time. So everybody who's been involved in these ATP grants can't hit their deadlines, and they can lose funding. So we tried to provide an adequate schedule that can get it done. So it doesn't get back to what we can do in the immediate term. I think these are bigger issues we're addressing. We look at curb extensions and trying to really slow down traffic, reducing the lanes out on Maricopa from 4 to 2, and these bigger measures we're talking about. But it is true in the shorter term, we could do flashing beacons on existing signs for relatively inexpensive cost and get those permitted like we're doing out at Maricopa. It may be that after we do these improvements, we may not need these flashing beacons because the corridor will be slowed down if you looked at some of the concepts. But in the meanwhile, over the next 3+ years, we could have accidents, and they could help prevent those. So we could look at funding just flashing beacons on the existing signs in the interim, like we're doing out at Nordoff and at Whispering Oaks.
And can we, I mean, I would personally go out there every morning with some kind of a thing in the middle of the road, like we have at Farmers Market. Can't we do things like that?
Well, about 4 years ago, we put the stanchions in the middle of the road down in the arcade area. So those were protested heavily by the public, and they were pulled out as a demonstration project.
I see.
So that may have been more to do with the arcade area being a historic area, and it's less historic as you come into town, so it's a possibility it might be more acceptable as you come into town if that's something.
Yeah, and it's safer there. I mean, those are 2 definitely dangerous crosswalks, especially as most people know, in the evening when the light shines, when the sun's setting, you can't really see people crossing, especially if you're not paying attention.
Will the city manager communicate with the public works director and see what can be done, and maybe give a report back to Councilwoman Francina?
Will do, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Good word. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any other comment? If not, let's have a vote. Call for the question.
Councilmember Blatz?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wyrick?
Yes.
Councilmember Francina?
Yes.
Councilmember Haney?
Yes.
Mayor Johnson?
Yes. Okay, our next item, if my memory serves me at this late hour, is item E under that we pulled off the consent agenda, temporary labor service agreement. Mayor Pro Tem, I believe you would
Yes,
like
I have a
to-
couple of questions.
Sure. Okay.
Be very quick about it. The request is for additional 2-year extension, other than just a 1 year. In other words, 2 fiscal year extension, as I understand it, correct?
That is the request,
Okay.
correct.
And my question, really quick, is, first of all, it always strikes me when commissions are 50% or 60% on what we pay to the organizations for temporary labor, but that's not the biggest question. The biggest question is that this council's indicated we want to go to a 40-hour work schedule for everyone, and there was some interplay and interaction between the use of temporary labor and going to 40-hour. And that's why I'm a little concerned about going to a 2-year extension as opposed to a 1-year, because I think that this council needs to visit as part of the budget process and the budget reports through the year, the interaction here, and I'm not sure that I'm comfortable authorizing for a full 2 years. I'm wondering if we could just make it a 1-year extension.
Absolutely, staff would have no concerns with
I
that.
wanna
We
move
can
the
always
1-year
come back.
extension.
Okay, we have a motion for a 1-year extension. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion moved and seconded. Is there any other comment? If not, could we have the roll call?
Yes. Councilmember, or Mayor Pro Tem Wyrick,
Yes.
Councilmember Francina,
Yes.
Councilmember Haney,
Yes.
Councilmember Blatz,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson.
Yes. Okay, that concludes the regular agenda, I believe. Is there anything? I do have, as the city manager mentioned, he gave me a card. Was this a card that got lost earlier under public comment? Is that right? We didn't?
No, it was turned in during the meeting, Mr. Mayor,
Okay.
after the public comments.
After the public comment?
Yes, sir.
Is it customary at the end of the meeting to go back to public comment, or do we do it another time?
It's within the mayor's discretion whether
Okay,
to accept
well,
the comment or not.
I'll be happy to talk with you in the morning about it, if that's, no?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, and it was nice to see so many unanimous votes tonight. I'll make this very brief. Just sitting in the audience tonight, I heard a lot about water. I know we don't have any. I don't care what that policy report says, because we're down to one bath a week. And then I was trying to grasp what Mr. McClary brought before you about the tourism marketing, wanting to go from 5 years to 10 years. Am I correct? They wanted a 10-year. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it was 5. I remember 10 years. Anyway, we don't have any water. Okay, we are at an alarming stage right now in this valley, in this city. And I could check into the Ojai Valley Inn and take a bath every day if I wanted to. You know, they don't have any rules about it. You know, people can come in, all the tourists and all their money can come in, and they can just use all the water that they want to. So my thoughts were, if I can put this succinctly, that we need to think about, okay, if we're going to continue tourism at the rate that we have it now, which of course makes the merchants very happy and they live here too, then something has got to be done about limiting the amount of water that people use when they're in the valley. And this 1.1, whatever it was, whatever it is they give the city, 1%, okay, it's a percentage. Okay, my thought was, why not have the facilities for tourists, you know, the inn and the motels and whatnot, during this time of terrible water crisis, why aren't they not expected to pay a larger percentage to the city? I mean, maybe we could use that to pay in on a desal plant, or maybe we could use it to help pay for that pipeline that we need to extend from the state water to Casitas. I mean, there's things that we could do, and a whole lot, it's going to cost a lot of money. And it seems to me, you don't want to make the merchants unhappy. And the people that live here really want to live here. But, you know, if the tourists are going to come and use up all of our water on the weekends, which they do, then have the hotels pay a larger percentage rate to the city earmarked for some of these projects that we're going to have to pay into. Am I making sense? Y'all just looking at me.
Well, we can't talk about the issue.
Okay, well, just, okay, look at me and tell me I'm making
yeah.
sense. You understand what I'm saying.
We can just.
You understand what,
understand.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, it may be so simplistic that you're wondering why I had to get up and say it, but, you know, it seems to me that would be a way to get the whole hotel industry to buy into being members of this community.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good.
Okay, is there anything else for the good of the order? If not, meeting stands adjourned. Right, thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Very good, very good.
Sorry about that.
About what?
Oh, I appreciate the courtesy to my wife.
Oh, yeah, well, that's
Very
fine.
opinionated. You have an opinionated wife?